Hi, I'm Jennifer Donley and welcome to Mindful Art Journaling. And so this is our pattern for today. We're going to be doing the Dahlia pattern. And there's a couple different ways to do it, but this is one of my favorites. And, I just love I'm going to show you how to do some shading on them and then you just cut them out. But I love this because this one, the Dahlia pattern in this is in the background. You don't really see it. And then when you flip over, it really kind of just highlights it because it's got that circle that's cut out, the peekaboo pattern. And then this one is a page that I started working on. And then there's a cutout right there. And then that last week before we left, started cutting this out, which is kind of a window. And I had these black and white pages. So I've been doing some slow drawing on this one, but it just really changes the perspective. But this was my blue. And I just love this page. And look how simple it is. But I'll show you my pictures. I was talking to you about the bright blue sky. And I noticed when I was in the mountains this weekend, this is called a winterberry bush. And it has the really light, beautiful yellow-green. But these berries, and this doesn't do it justice, they are a magenta color. Like a purple magenta, and against that blue sky, it was just gorgeous and such vibrant colors. So that was kind of, so I really wanted to have that kind of a color for a page in my journal. And so I did that. I just painted the color of that page, and then I did the whole smooshy. So I got some paint on this side as well. But then I found this feather from a bluebird, and I just thought how pretty that was. And this photo doesn't exactly do it justice. So I thought, what a neat shape too. And I just laid it on the rock and took the picture with all those feathers. So that's what I did for my peekaboo, is I cut a feather out from here. And so the blue shows through. And it just reminds me of that bluebird feather. And it's very simple. We're saving all of these pieces. And the journal that I have is Delusions. It's from Amazon. It's Dylusions. And it has a pocket, and I'm saving all these pieces in here. And our very last class will be a creative play day where we will use all the pieces that we have saved from our journal, the peekaboo. So if you don't want to cut anything out, just tear off a little piece of it. I just think it's neat. And then you have like this little present for yourself. So when I get ready to create, I have all of these pieces that I'll be able to use somewhere. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it. But I did want to point out one thing here. But this is really neat. Look at this. So this is like a window looking through, but doesn't this look like trees? But if you look here, you see this looks like a tree, like an evergreen tree looking out a window, and this one too. And I thought that was so neat. It gives you a completely different perspective from what it actually is in the feather. So that's just really fun. I'm just really enjoying my peekaboo journal. And this looks like a bird body to me, like this could be a wing. So yeah, just really fun little creative surprises that I am leaving for myself in here. So I really enjoy that. So I want us to get started. Our first slow drawing exercise is that we're going to listen to the music. And the music that I've chosen today is kind of more of a happy, upbeat type music. I don't know, I just felt with fall in the air, it just kind of might give us a little more energy and a little more pep. And I want us to do what we've done in the past, where we just close our eyes and we start to just listen to the music and just make marks on our paper, just following the music, and try to be present before we get started. Take a couple deep breaths, find a nice, comfortable place. You can do this in your journal, or you can do this on a different piece of paper, whatever you're most comfortable with. And just listen to the music and choose your materials. I'm just probably going to use I like to use the watercolor pencils for this, and then just kind of wet the paper a little bit. And I'm going to use the dark wash pencil that I have here, if I can find it. Baked Earth is the name of this. Okay, so what I want you to do is just kind of take a deep breath and relax. We're going to just do some intuitive mark making where we close our eyes, we listen to the music, we let our hand and the music, everything just work together. And the whole point is to be present, to relax. As your hand is working and you're making the marks on your paper, use your other senses. What do you hear? What do you feel? And relax your body. Start with your neck and shoulders and take some deep breaths. I'm going to add a little bit of water to my page. And I've got a little bit of blue in it. And I'm just doing this so that the colors will be different and they'll bleed together differently. So our slow drawing pattern is going to be a dahlia. And if you look at this, you can see there are different kinds. Each one of these is done a little differently. So what we're going to start with is you start with a tiny little circle and then you just build around it. And you can have pointed little petals. You can have long, skinny, which I really like this one. It kind of looks like a mum actually. Or you can do the rounded petals. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you, and then I'm going to put the music on, and we're going to create some of these floral patterns. Now, once we're done creating these, I'm also going to show you how to go back and create some depth in them with some washes, because this is actually a pattern that works really well in pen and ink drawings or watercolor paintings, anything like that. And I use this pattern a lot. So I will go back and demonstrate this for you on this one we used before. So the way that I start is with just like a little circle with a pen that works. Just a shape, little shape. And then you'll go around this.
Can you zoom in any closer?
I really can't. I can hold it up, but it gets quite a bit bigger. And so then I just go in between these other petals. And you just continue to go around. There's no right or wrong way to do this. There's no perfect way to do this, but you just want to start to fill in. And then as you move outward, these little petals can get bigger. Now I'm holding this up in the air and doing it, so it's not quite the same. But you see, I like this one is a little more pointed. And that's the first one that I'm going to do. And I'm going a lot faster than I typically do. And then just keep going around, filling in like this. So if you can see that, one little petal at a time. And then there may be a different version of this that works for you, and that's fine too. It's finding your own rhythm, finding your own creativity, and then just continue to go around like that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to actually work in my journal with these slow drawing. Oftentimes I don't do that. So I'm going to work on this page here and fill this page kind of like I did this one. And so I'm going to start right here. And so I'm going to put the music on. I want to remind you to go slowly. This isn't a race. The whole point is to slow down and to increase your focus and just see where your creativity takes you. So, you know, when we talk about kind of preparing the pages for your journaling, I already had the color on here and it was dry and I added it before. So then I had like a clean slate to do these patterns. And so you don't have to complete a page every single time. You can add to it and just kind of, you know, see what happens. So I just thought that this was a nice space to add some more of these flowers. So like you can see, it's growing. The petals are getting gradually bigger, but I just find this something just very satisfying about these. And then I just love the way that they turn out when I'm finished with them. So what do you guys think? Do you like this pattern?
Yep.
I do. I think you probably get better at it as you create.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so too. And so what I'm going to do next is I want us to continue to make some more of these. And then I'm going to show you some techniques that I use to bring out the petals, make them look three-dimensional. So I've been working on this one, and I want to do another one that looks similar to this. And so if you look, you see that these are just like long, skinny kind of petals. They're not and I'll hold it up so you can see a little better. They're not the rounded, pointed, fatter. They're longer and skinnier. And it makes just a kind of a nice contrast when you put them together where they're not all the same. So that's what I'm going to do next. And I'm going to continue to draw in this, but I'm going to use a gel pen this time so that I get a little different kind of colors, and then I can overlap some areas if I want to. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm trying to decide which color to use. But at any rate, I think I'll use the pink. So I'm going to use a pink gel pen for this next flower, and it's going to be a different petal. And these are the Souffle brand. And so you won't be able to see what I'm doing immediately because it has to, with the Souffle brand, it gets brighter as it dries. So I'm going to put our music back on, and then let's continue to make some of these petals and these dahlia flowers. And I do start even the long skinny ones with a circle. So I'm going to hold this up so that you can see it's very faint over top of the blue, but it makes for a nice background pattern. They're starting to pop out, and I'll show you some techniques to pop that out. In the meantime, I'm going to switch gel pens and do it in another color somewhere else on the page. I could just sit here and draw these all day, but I think you guys are probably ready to see what happens next. So I'm continuing to draw just because I like for these to get a little bit bigger. But I want to show you, there's all different kinds of techniques you can do so that they're not so flat and they start to look three-dimensional with these drawings. So I like to go back into some of them, and I'll flip back over so you can see around the centers and just do dots. Sometimes I'll color in the center a different color, and sometimes I just take my pen and just do like a little stippling of dots for shading and just pull out certain areas. So that's what I'm going to do here in this one that I started with. So that you can see it a little better, I'm just going to take my pen, and this is a gel pen. It's not the souffle because this is just a black gel pen. It's a different brand, but I've had it forever. And I'm just going to go in, and these are just dots. And I'm going around the petals with some dots, and you'll see that it starts to bring out certain areas. And just really kind of helps them pop out. And I like to start that around the center. So I just around like that. It takes a few minutes. And something else that I like to do too is go back and maybe add just a little touch of a light color on top. So I'm going to put a little bit of acrylic paint into my palette here. And I'm going to add some, just a little bit of another color. So because I have the pink in the other flower, I'm just going to add some pink paint here. And a small brush. This is perfect. This one, or you can go even smaller. This is a good size brush to use too. And I'm just going to add just a little bit of pink just on some of the petals. And you can even just kind of use your finger to wipe it off. It's like I'm not trying to paint these and make them perfect. I'm just trying to pop out some areas. So when you do that, they start to kind of show up. And I'll put this up so that you can see it. But I'm leaving a lot of the blue. I'm just adding the blue and the green that's already there. I'm just adding just this other little touch of color over top of it. And so you can see when it just starts to kind of follow the pattern around, just pops it out just a little bit. You see the pattern a little more. And you can go around and go over top of your petals with a little bit of color. Now, I'm working on an acrylic background, so it's hard for me to add any kind of watercolor washes to this that are going to show up. But if you have something like this and you're working on white paper, then you can use a watercolor pencil. You can add maybe just some color in the center and then just maybe go around the outside petals and leave some white areas to really pop some out. And then you'll have some layers, and I'll show you what that looks like. And this is just adding water to the watercolor pencil. But you can see how it just starts to add some shading and just kind of fades out. So you can go in and go around. It'll pull out your center, or, you know, maybe you want your color in the center and you want it to get gradually lighter as it goes back around, as it goes back out. So that's just things to play with. This is just where you just have kind of the creative play. You can see here, just went around and darkened some areas. And so I'll talk about that with this one a little bit. For right now, I want you to just play with some shading. And you can do that like I showed you with just some dots, with just a pen, the pen that you were using. You can add watercolor pencil or a watercolor paint, or you can do like I did here and just add a little bit of the acrylic and just kind of brighten that up a little bit. Just add another color to it. So I'm going to put our music back on, and this is a time for some creative play. So add some color. See if you can get some three-dimensional parts to this, and we'll go from there. Any questions about anything so far?
Not yet.
Okay. Is everybody enjoying this?
I am.
Okay.
I love
good.
this pattern.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you can do so many different things with it. So each one that you do kind of changes a little bit. So that's kind of nice too. So I'm going to put our music back on. Okay, I want to check in with everybody. So what I did here is I added some pink, some white, and then I went around the flower that I had on here, the pattern, with some darker blue, and that just added the contrast and just kind of popped it up off the page. So just kind of playing around with color, playing around with highlights, playing around with shadow. That your prompt for next week is green. And we have, I think, a limited time with the green around here. So enjoy it while you can. You know, green can mean all sorts of things. And so just see what it means to you and use that for some work in your journal or a prompt towards, I don't know, some other kind of artwork. You can do it with whatever you like. The micron pens I use those a lot. This one, you know, when I started the first exercise, this is watercolor pencil here. And then this is micron pen right here, the little flower.
Okay.
And then I have gel pen on here. So it just really depends on what you feel like using, what I like to do. And there's really no right or wrong way. But what works for me is that I will have blank pages, but then I will also kind of prepare pages with a color ahead of time. So I have some pages that are painted, and then I can just go right onto those, like I did with the blue here. And that looks really cool too, though, with the feather. And then with the cutout. And then I have blank pages, because sometimes I just want to start fresh. But I do like to add color in places and have that ready to go, like I did here on this page. So when I started today, I just started to fill in with, you know, the drawing over top of some of the paint that I had already done. And a really fun technique, Beverly, to add color to your page is just, and this is with acrylic paints, but you can add watercolor, ink, anything like that. But with acrylic paints, it's just to put some paint on there. You can even take and add some color straight out of the tube. And I'll just do it right here for you. You can take color like this. Take it right out of the tube, or you can paint it on there. So I can do a couple of different things here. I keep old credit cards, and I can just scrape the paint around, and I do that. And I also do this. This is my smushy technique.
I like that one.
Isn't that cool? So that's fun. That's a fun way. And then if you want, so look at that. Now that I've just kind of dragged all the extra paint off of there, you see all of those little patterns on there, and it's just kind of a lot of fun. Now I'm going to smush it again. And see, look, it left that mark on there. Anyway, do you want to just kind of prep your pages for next time? Now I do leave it open till it dries, and then I'll add some wax paper inside of it to just kind of keep it from sticking together in the beginning. Keep it simple, one pattern at a time, one color at a time. It doesn't have to be complicated, but in the end, in this process of where I made this is very simple, but in the end, it looks very complicated, but it really wasn't, because it's one step at a time, one pattern at a time, one color at a time. Well, I think you guys are doing some great stuff. I hope you had fun with this pattern today. I know that I did.
Love it.
And next week we will focus on another pattern and some other materials that I will show you some fun things to do with them. So at any rate, your prompt for next week is green. So I want you to think about the color green. I want you to think about, you know, what that symbolizes, what that means, or maybe you just find a beautiful shade of green outside in your garden. But go outside, connect with nature, slow down, be mindful, and create some space for some creative play. I guarantee you will be happy you did it.